So the reason why we're here today is because you guys have all signed up for the investment campaign, which is the equity crowdfunding campaign. This is actually our third round of investment. But this time we wanted to do it through this equity crowdfunding to actually give golfers an opportunity to be a part of it, right? So you don't have to come in a big amount, you can come in with big, small amounts, it doesn't really matter. You guys already would all have information on your email, so you can go on your email, all the information is provided there, go on pitchIN site, and then submit your pledges and all that kind of stuff, right? But you can ask me more questions about that later. So I will just tell you guys a little bit more about me today, okay? I think I've played golf with some of you guys, I've spoken on the phone with some of you guys, some of you guys I've never met before, so thank you for coming, right? But I am basically born here and raised here in Malaysia, right? Specifically PJ, specifically SS3, so you know where I live, right? But I went to schools here. I went to primary school here, secondary school here. I went to Taylor's College. I was fortunate enough to go to the US for university. So I went and did a business degree over there in Indiana University. I don't know if you guys know. I just traveled all the way there. My family was like, oh, where do you think you should go? I'm like, I don't know. So most people go to either, hey guys, most people go to Australia or UK, right? So my parents said, why don't you try US? I'm like, US? Why? Nobody goes there. I'm like, okay, so I did my research, right? And I was looking at business schools because I didn't know what to do. So I looked at business schools, top 10 business schools, but I also looked at the price range. So I said like, okay, cheapest one, Indiana University. So I chose that one, and I went there. I didn't come from a very well-to-do family, so I was very fortunate to be able to go there, right? Now, I think the one thing that I would say I took away from the US, that I've been there for 4 years, right, is this one thing I did during the summer. So in summer, there's three things that you could do as a college kid, right? You could either come back home and spend money, right? You could either stay there and do an internship, right? And you make copies and you make coffee, right? And there's this other thing that somebody recruited me to do, and it was basically selling books door to door. And I was only in the US for like maybe about 4 months at that time, and they started recruiting on campus, right? And then they said, hi, what are you going to do this summer? I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to sell books? I'm like, sell books? Like where? Like, I don't know. We don't know where we're going yet, but we could go somewhere else in the country. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, how much would I make? I'm like, we don't know. Is it really how much you sell, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, but I can tell you the average first year student makes about $8,000 for the summer. So I was like, $8,000, that's quite good, right? Maybe I'll try that, right? But then I still didn't know where I was going, who I was going and stuff like that, right? So they did a lot of training before the summer, because until today, that is still the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, which is knocking on doors, right? But they did a lot of training beforehand, and it wasn't like product training. They weren't teaching us like what the products were and everything. They were teaching you more how hard is it going to be, that people are going to slam doors in your face, that you are not going to get sales for some days, and it's just going to be really, really tough. You could be knocking on doors in 90-degree heat, like throughout the whole afternoon, and nobody opens the door for you in this like really bleak kind of summer, right? So I was like, oh, sounds tough. Okay, let's go do it. So I told my friends I went to do it, right? So the first time I went to Oklahoma, and they said, David, you go to Ponca City, Oklahoma. I'm like, okay. So I checked it up. There's like 25,000 people, population, one Walmart, one Main Street, one high school, right? So I went there, and then they said, whatever it is, there's always going to be one rock star the first year that makes $30,000 for the summer, first year, right? But I'm also going to tell you, there's going to be 30% of the people that quit within the first week. So I'm like, okay, well, they say, whatever it is, don't quit, just keep doing it. I'm like, okay, right? So I went on to do it, right? I went to do it, I start knocking on doors. They teach you everything. They teach you what to say, how to stand, what to do, how to get into the house, how to do everything. So you just have to like do it word for word, and that's it, right? So I kind of did it first week, second week, third week, I didn't quit. I came back. They said, okay, David, you're not selling anything. I'm like, okay, but you said I don't have to worry about selling. You just said I just don't have to quit. It's like, yeah, but if you don't start making money, we have to send you home because you can't survive. I'm like, oh, okay, shit. So now it's already tough enough, but I have to sell too. I'm like, okay. So they say, what are you doing wrong? So I showed him what I was doing, and then they were like, my manager was like, you're not collecting cash for the sale. So you're getting orders, but then you're not collecting cash. If you're not collecting cash, that means it's not a solid sale. That means when you came back at the end of the summer to want to deliver books to them, they'll be like, we changed our mind, and then we don't want to buy anymore, right? So that was my problem there. So they said, okay, you have to learn how to collect cash. So they taught me, okay, maybe do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can do that, right? So I went out the next week, and then I think I did exactly what they said, and I did 50 units, which is like maybe $250 for that week. So like, oh, I'm selling something, I don't have to quit, right? As simple as that. Then, so I continued doing it for the whole summer, and then finally at some point, I got better at it. Basically, I was this Asian kid in the US. I've never seen like how American houses look like before, and I had to knock on doors and ask them for money, right? And then towards the end of the summer, I think there was one week I made 300 units, which was basically times 4, like $1,500 US dollars for that week. So I was like, happy times. Came back after that summer, and then I was like, so I did the average. Everybody did 8,000 for an average. I did $8,000 average. So I'm like, pretty happy with myself, right? But I told myself, never, ever, ever will I do that again, because it's the hardest thing ever, right? But I did learn. I did build a lot of confidence, and so it actually kind of looks like it looks like this. This is how it looks like. This is the kind of books I was selling door to door. I look like this, but not like this, right? But this is how I was just knocking on doors, right? So the second summer came about, and then I told myself, never ever, ever am I going to do that again. And then my manager called me up. He's like, what are you going to do this summer? I'm like, not selling books. He's like, well, what else are you going to do? I'm like, don't know. Well, you can make money, right? I'm like, oh, shit. So I went out again, right? So this time I went out again. I went to Tennessee and did $10,000 worth. I'm like, okay, so that was better. I recruited some kids out as well. So I recruited like 2 Malaysian kids and 1 Singaporean kid, right? They call us the Asian invasion because everybody else was white, right? So it's just us. But the Singaporean kid quit after 1 week. So that's 30% gone, right? And then the other 2 actually continued to stay on, and they did not super well. I did 10,000 that summer. They did about I think 3,000 between both of them. So I'm like, at least they finished the summer, right? It was tough, and it was the toughest thing they ever did. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, done. After that, I graduated college after 2 more semesters, and then they said, my manager called me again. He's like, hey, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna get a real job this time. He's like, how about come sell again? 1 more summer before you get a real job. The job's always going to be there. I'm like, no. Then he's like, I'm like, you can make that money, right? I'm like, oh, shit, right? So I said, where are we going this time? He's like, we're going to LA this time. LA? I'm like, oh, okay, well. And I had a kind of like a job set up in LA after school already. So I was thinking, maybe I'll just do that. And just so I drove 30 hours from Tennessee, Indiana, all the way to LA, and then I sold books. And this time I told myself, man, I've done this is my 3rd time doing this. I don't want to fight the system anymore because it is tough, and I know it is tough, and to knock on those doors, right? But I just kind of like just focus on it, and that's it. So every night we have like calls with the managers just to report stats and everything, right? And then I just did it, and the first night I called him up. He's like, how many units you sold that day? I'm like, 200. They're like, no, just today. I'm like, yeah, 200. He's like, you're selling too much. So I think I kind of stopped fighting the system anymore. I just kind of did what I needed to get it done. So, and then throughout the weeks, I did quite well, and they got people to follow me as well so I can show them how it's done and stuff like that. So that is basically I think I ended up the summer with $30,000 for that summer. So like, that's good stuff for me, right? At that time, I also recruited, have a seat, man. I also recruited one Singaporean kid that came out with me as well, and he did not bad. I think like it kind of channeled the energy through, and he did about $10,000 that summer. So happy times for him too. So a lot of people always say, right, like, hey David, right, you're like a salesperson, you know, you can speak and everything. I can tell you, I assure you, I wasn't born to do this, but it was kind of like trained into me. That's why I couldn't sell in the first 3 weeks in that summer, but then after that, it kind of worked. So that sales process just kind of built through me, right? So that's like how I did my US. And after that, I worked in LA for a bit, and I never wanted to sell books again, ever. But those are just very fond memories that I just wanted to share. And then I came back to Malaysia because I couldn't get a visa to work there. So when I came back to Malaysia, I wasn't really sure that I wanted to stay here because I was like, man, I want to go back to the US, right? So I wasn't sure whether I want to get a job or not. And then at that time, I had a friend say, hey, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, you want a job? I'm like, where? At Shell. I'm like, okay, Shell. How much? She's like, oh, you're a fresh grad, so 1,800. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, not sure. And then my dad came back one day, and he knew I was selling all these books and stuff, so he knew I like kind of wanted to do sales, or not really wanted to do sales, but I could do sales. So he said, hey, I found this part-time job for you that maybe you can do when you're here, if you're still thinking what you want to do. So he said, I said, what is it? Oh, it's this very ridiculously expensive vacuum cleaner. I don't know if you guys know. Rainbow. So he said, it's called the Rainbow machine. I'm like, oh, how much is it? He's like, it's 6,900, and that was like, what, 10 years ago, right? I'm like, oh, $6,900 for vacuum cleaner. You know, on one hand, I was like, that's damn expensive. On the other hand, I was like, I kind of like it because if it's $6,900, I asked him, how much do I make for each one? And he said, 900 bucks. I'm like, 900 ringgit. So if I sell one, I make 900. If I sell two, I make what I made in Shell. If I sell four, I doubled it. If I don't sell anything, I get zero. I'm like, worth a shot. Let's go do it for fun, right? So I went to do it. So it looks something. It looks something like this. I'm sure you guys. It's a rainbow machine, right? So I started doing it, and the first month, I sold 10. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty fun. We're getting money, right? As a fresh grad. So I think it was easy because I did all that book selling, and it was in home environments, and I could just easily convey that message. And I was just doing it on their bids. I mean, like cleaning their bids, right? And then they were just signing checks. So I did this for a year and a half, and then which looked something like this. So I was just always in people's homes doing demonstrations like this for a year and a half after graduation. And people were asking me, hey, what do you study? I'm like, I studied finance. I have a finance degree. What are you doing? I'm selling vacuum cleaners. Really? Like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But after a year and a half, I got bored because it was basically very repetitive, and I was just doing the same thing, right? So I was kind of like driving up to a house and then looking at the house and prejudging it because I was like, this one can buy. This one poor, cannot buy, right? But then after that, you just turn it off and just autopilot the whole thing, right? Just say the same spiel, say the same jokes, collect the same check, and just kind of left, right? So it wasn't challenging me anymore. So I thought, time to do something different. Now this is where it gets interesting, right? After this, I took 1 year off doing anything, and that is where I explored golf. This was 10 years ago, right? Before that, I didn't play golf at all. I didn't come from a golfing family, but I actually quit my job to actually focus on this 1 year of poker. So I was trying to become a professional or like poker player. I didn't succeed, clearly, right? So I was doing a lot of online poker, I was doing a lot of offline poker, and that's what I was doing like pretty much day in, day out, like this. So I'll wake up at noon, ready to catch some friends for lunch before they go back to work, and then after that I'll go play some live poker with some friends or random people I meet, and then at night I go back online and just multi-table it. So I don't know if you guys know how poker is like multi-tabling. So you don't play like one table online, you play I played like 20 tables at one go. So it's very much like stock trading, but it's like how I thought I could I had some friends that did this for a living, so I was learning a lot from them. Instead of one table, I did like 5 tables stacked up, but I had like 4 of them. So I had like, but I didn't have so many screens, I just had one screen. So it was a small laptop, which is like doing that. So clearly I didn't do well because I wasn't losing, I wasn't making, I was just kind of like breaking even. And breaking even is not good because you need to live. You need money for food and all that kind of stuff. So I had to be going up, but that wasn't the graph. So after that, no, not anymore. Now at this 1 year as well, that's when I started exploring golf. So I always had this, I play a lot of sports. I play a lot of badminton and other rock climbing and all that kind of stuff, bowling and stuff like that. But golf was always something that was very distant from me. Because I'm like, oh, golf, rich people's sport. Not rich. One day I want to get there. Maybe I should start now. Don't know. Oh, driving range, kind of cheap, right? 10 ringgit for a bucket of balls. Oh, cheaper than going to bowling. And I play bowling, right? So I asked a few friends, hey, you want to play? They're like, no, it's for old people. I'm like, oh, shit, right? So I'm like, then who would I go? So I said, hey, your dad has a set, right? Can we just go take his set and then go to the driving range and hit some balls? They're like, man, fine, right? So we went to the driving ranges, right? I hit some balls, we got some lessons in, and I liked it, but they didn't. And then I said like, hey, let's go to the golf course and play golf. They're like, no, it's too hot. I don't want to do it. It takes too long. I'm like, oh, shit. If they don't do it, then I can't do it, right? So that was 10 years ago, right? And the problem until today, well, last time we didn't have Dimples, so I couldn't find people to play with, but now we have that, right? So that's how the story of golf came up with me, and that's how I used to look like when I was playing golf 10 years ago. So I didn't look very good then, right? So after 1 year of exploring all these things, money, of course, was running out, because all that money you made from vacuum cleaners and books, those are running out, those are gone. So I had to start getting myself a real job. So the last 10 years, that's when I got myself into digital marketing and all that kind of stuff. At that time, I was thinking, I want to do sales, because I can sell, right? But I didn't want to sell products anymore, so I wanted to sell ideas. So if I'm selling ideas, what can I sell? So when I was young, I watched this movie called Sweet November. I don't know if you guys remember this movie. Charlize Theron and Keanu Reeves. It was basically about Keanu Reeves. He played this advertising account executive that he was selling hot dogs for his client, the idea of selling hot dogs. So I was like, advertising people can make a lot of money and they're selling ideas. They're not even selling, so it could be intangible, right? So I started searching for advertising agencies and I went to apply for a bunch of them. I went to apply for Ogilvy, Gray, McCann Erickson, and all these kind of guys, right? All of them said, no, don't want you. You have no advertising experience. I'm like, that's fine. I'll start from scratch. I'll start from 1,005, 1,004, whatever you give me, right? They're like, but you're too much experience for that. Well, give me a senior position we're talking about, right? They're like, no, too much as well. Fine, so I couldn't do that. So I tried to find what kind of advertising would fit me better or be like the thing to go into. And then I found this company called Nuff Nang. This was like 10 years ago. It was a blogging company, right? So basically like engaging bloggers to do advertising. So I went for an interview and they were all very young people. The boss was a lot younger than me and I was like, maybe I can fit in here, right? I had like 2 other offers at that time, but they were all like, paying more, but I was like, I like this environment a little bit more. So I joined them. And basically what they did was, I don't know if you guys know bloggers, like Xia Xue, Kenny Xia, all these kind of guys, right? So they represented the bloggers and we went out, and this was very hot at that time. So a lot of advertisers were just buying into it. So I did 1 year with them and it was easy because I could sell, right? And after 1 year, they said, hey David, 2 things for you to do. One is you can be the head of sales of the company, which I was like, okay. And second is you can set up a China office. So I'm like, China? I've never been there before. Chinese, I can speak some, right? But what I liked about that the most was that the possibility of failure was really, really high. So I'm like, that sounds interesting. Let me go do that, right? So basically, the reason why we did that, I think we were at 4 markets at that time, and they wanted to set up 1 more country, which was China. And I had no idea about China, but they said, just go it. We have a partner, kind of like wanting to invest into it, but we have nothing there. No office, nothing at all. So I'm like, okay. So I went there. I went to China, went to Beijing, right? If you guys have been to Beijing, nice city, but I didn't go to the nice part. because I didn't know, right? So instead of going to KLCC area, I went to like Kampong Baru. So I went there, I was like, this is China? Oh shit. But then after that, I found out where the KLCC was. So there was we had no product, no clients, no staff, no company, no office, no nothing. So I was 26 years old at that time. I didn't know what to do. So we went to set all that up. So it was fun because they said, hey, all this money, we don't know anything about China and you don't know anything with China, let's go learn. So at the height of it, I think we got up to, within the 2 years that I was there, we got up to 10 staff. We got like 5,000 bloggers that we recruited, and we started selling to customers, Johnson & Johnson, and all these different brands that we work with. So that was fun times. After that, after 2 years, they said, hey, David, why don't you come back to Malaysia? I'm like, no, after 2 years, I'm ready to roll here because I've learned everything I need to learn, right? And then they said, no, just come back because our biggest market in Malaysia, our country manager is leaving and we want you to lead the biggest market in Malaysia. So I'm like, okay, fine. Not that I want to, but I will. So I came back here, and that's when I actually played a lot of golf here because in China, golf was really expensive. Golf in China was like 1,000 RMB, which is about 500 ringgit around a golf. At that time, I wasn't making a lot of money, so I was like eating really cheap food, and I was just swiping that card on the weekend for golf. So I'm like, oh, so painful, right? But I came back, I played a lot of golf at that time. So I came back to Malaysia for a year, and then after that, and then another company called me up to say, hey, why don't you come back to China because we're looking for a role for you in Shanghai this time. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll go to Shanghai again because I want to go back to China, right? So I did, and I joined this company that kind of sold ads online. So all the YouTube ads that you see before the videos, right? I was selling it, but for Chinese companies. So like iQIYI and Youku and all these different, it's like the Netflix or Hulu of China, so I was doing a lot of that, and I loved it a lot. I think Shanghai was the best time, if you guys have been there, right, of my life, just because the scale of things is so big, right? I think when I was in Nafeng, we were selling campaigns for like $20,000, $30,000, 50,000 ringgit, right? And 100,000 ringgit, you're popping champagne already here, right? But then there, the budgets were so crazy, right? One campaign, on average, campaign size is like 500 to a million RMB, right? That's the average campaign size. But then there was this one campaign that I did as well. They're like, hey, David, this is the budget. I'm like, this is $3 million US. Like, for the whole year? They're like, no, just 3 months. Like, and you realize because the scale there is so big, like Shanghai is one city, right? Shanghai is one Malaysia, Beijing is one Malaysia, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, all these different cities is like one big country. So I enjoyed it a lot there, and that was pretty much the best time of my life, right? But after that, then my last job, and this was the last job before I went into Dimples, right, was they wanted me to set up another company in China, but it was a Singapore-based company. It was a company called Nugget. So it looked like what they did was they basically took all the reports that we always needed to do on Excel, but automated into PowerPoint format. And that was very useful for the advertising industry because that's what we always did manually for all my years as well. So I thought this is a step forward. It's like technology into it. And they were funded by Sequoia. So Sequoia is a big venture capital. So I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can learn a little bit of that from them. So they wanted me to set up the China office. But then after doing it for like 3 months, they say like, David, why don't you just come move yourself to Singapore and do a regional role? I'm like, no. Again, taking me away from China. No, I want to be in China. But fine, I came to Singapore. No regrets there, right? But I kind of covered the region, so I, opened markets from there for Australia, Taiwan, Indonesia, a few other markets as well. So that was a good experience too. So that was my last job before I started Dimples, right? Sorry, that was a long story, but I just wanted you guys to know like where I came from. In terms of my background and stuff like that, because I think I don't know most of you guys here. I only know most of you guys here from golf. But if you're going to be investing into this, I just wanted you guys to know a little bit about my background, right? Now, next, I want to talk a little bit about how Dimples started, right? I think this is where the meat of it comes in, right? So it got really frustrating for me about 5 years ago, when I was in Shanghai. When I was in Shanghai, I was like, man, I'm making all this money, but I couldn't play golf whenever I wanted to because my friends couldn't play whenever I wanted to. And I could call a car very easily, and I could get food delivery very easily, and I could get Tinder dates very easily, but I can't get golf buddies very easily, right? There has to be a solution out there that solves this problem, but there wasn't. So I was searching for it online, but I couldn't find it. So because of my digital marketing knowledge and experience, right, I was thinking, this isn't that hard. It's just matching people together. So I started drawing it out page by page, page by page. And then finally, after 1 year, and this was in Shanghai, right? 1 year of doing this, we hired a team in Malaysia to kind of do it. And after 1 year, they said, it's almost done, it's almost done, it's almost done. But nothing was ever done. So I'm like, gosh, can you just give me whatever you have and I'll just pay you like 90% or whatever? They're like, nope, we take the full amount or we're not giving you anything. I'm like, this is not working. So after a whole year of back and forth, I decided to just call it off. And I was thinking, man, it would be just so much easier to just quit now and just focus on work and not try to solve this problem. But no, I tried to. So if that one launched, it would have looked like this. And you guys have never seen this before, ever. I don't think Darlene has seen it too. Have you? Okay. Darlene is our CTO. I'll introduce you guys a little bit. He's never even seen this before. This is like the version that was never launched. This is how it was going to look like. Not so good, huh? Glad we didn't launch it. Okay. So after that, I was like, oh man, should I still pursue this? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll still pursue this. That's when I came back again. This is like the transition time before from Shanghai to Singapore. So I was like, okay. I suddenly remembered I had a friend that was into software development. So I needed that help because I'm not a software developer, right? So I went to his office. I said, hey man, long time. Forgot about you, but I know you do software development. Let's hang out. I got this idea I can share with you. But we were very close when we were growing up because we had like sleepovers and stuff like that. No, not in a gay way, right? Because we were all young and all, right? But like when we were growing up. So I went to his office. He just came back from the UK. He was doing software development for clients for like about 5 years, right? And then he came back here and he was doing more things here. So I sat down with him. I was just right in the middle. He was here. It was Vincent and Isaac, right? So I spoke with them for like 2 hours. I was like, hey man, I got this idea. I'm gonna do this. I can help golfers match together, and after that we can make money by doing tea time bookings, all that kind of stuff. But it's not just Malaysia. We can do Indonesia, blah, blah, blah. We can do US, UK, the whole world. We can make so much money, blah, 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 everything, right? And then I'm like, I'm not here to ask you guys to do this for me because you guys are gonna be too expensive. Can you give me advice, how much would something like this roughly cost? I have no idea, right? And can you point me in the right direction, right? Then after these 2 hours, they look at each other. They're like, maybe we want in. I'm like, huh? What? Oh, I didn't think of that, right? So I said, great. Well, I know you guys from way before. I trust you guys. So why don't you guys tell me how much you want, and I'll just give it to you. So they said 30%. I'm like, great. Let's go do this shit. So they went to do it. I left back to Singapore to work for 8 months. And then we just follow up here and there. And after 8 months, they're like, okay, it's done, it's live. I'm like, what? It's done, it's live? Okay. Like, now it's my turn, right? Now it's my turn to get the word out. So I was in a job traveling around Asia, but at night I would be in a hotel room or at home. I'm like, okay, let's have to market this thing, right? And when it went live, so this is the first live version of Dimples, and it was launched in September 2016 when I was still in the job. So I was like, oh shit, now we have to tell people about it because we didn't even know if people would use this at all because I built this for myself. I built this so that I could benefit from it, right? But I didn't know if other people would use it. So I told myself, okay. We're here in Singapore, we'll launch Malaysia, we'll add in Brunei because Brunei is just like 3 courses there, so sure, whatever, right? But if we can get Malaysia to 1,000 downloads and Singapore to 500 downloads, then maybe we have something, right? Otherwise, then let's screw this and just go back to work, right? So, but we had to get the word out. So what did I do? I was like, the first thing I did was to call friends, right? And I tell you, calling friends is the worst thing ever because if you guys do MLM or insurance, anything, if you call friends, they know like after a long time, you ask them, they're not gonna do it, right? So I called friends, and these are my golfing friends, right? I'm like, hey, can you post some games, please, right? Because there was no games. Today, you look at the app, there's many games, right? But there was no games in the beginning, right? And that's what we needed them to do, but very few of them did it, right? So what else did I need to do? I went online, I went to Facebook groups, I went to spam everybody. If you guys know mygolf.com.my, back in the days, it was a forum. I was spamming that. Golf Republic in Singapore, the forum, I was spamming that too. If you guys are on Instagram, I'll probably be spamming you too, because I'll just be searching like, oh, Kota Damansara driving range. Okay, this person tagged the photo here. Great, let me talk to this person. And I'm just talking to everybody, whoever I could, right? Now, so talking to people is one thing. Then, of course, that's not enough. And I come from the digital marketing industry, so we thought we had to run ads. Not run ads or billboards, right? Digital ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, right? But, so I thought I knew how to do Facebook ads. Clearly, I didn't know how to do it. I knew how to sell it. So I was selling ads, ad space, you know, like on the Chinese sites you saw just now, right? But then I didn't know how to run it. So if you know how to run ads, who here has run ads? I think some of you guys have run ads. Yeah, a little bit here and there, right? Running ads, you just have to choose your audiences, where your geographic, right? Geography area. But you also have to create ad units as well, like the pictures and stuff, right? And I didn't know how to create pictures. I always had a designer. I'm like, there's no designer now. So I had to do it myself. But I had no Illustrator, Photoshop skills. So I was like, okay, I can do PowerPoint. Oh, sorry, PowerPoint is too expensive. I was using Google Slides. So I was making my own images on Google Slides and just launching ads as well, right? So these are how I think I started getting, and I started talking to golf courses as well. So I was based in Singapore. So I was always going to Johor and Batam to play golf on the weekends because Singapore is too expensive. So every time I went to Johor, I would try to like talk to a manager or a GM or anybody there. I'll be like, hey, can I talk to anybody here, right? So once I spoke to them, I told them the idea, right? And then they liked it a lot because I told them, hey guys, can I play alone? They're like, no, you have to find people. But if I can't find people, I can't come, right? Yeah. Do you know how many people experience that? They're like, no, I don't know. Yeah, I know. Because if they can't find each other, they wouldn't be coming. So these are all the lost opportunities that you wouldn't have. They're like, oh, that's true. Like, how can we tell people about it? I'm like, maybe you can put some banners up at the course. They're like, okay, let's do that. So, I mean, a lot of courses were very nice. They just said, send us banners to us and we'll do it. And some courses were even much nicer, like this club here in Sukajadi in Batam. They're like, David, good idea, we love it, but I know you're poor, so just send the materials over, we'll print it for you. I'm like, wow. And this is what Johan did as well for Danau Golf Club. So Johan is the club manager for Danau Golf Club, and thank you, Johan, for always supporting before. So he knew I was poor too, so he said he'll print it, so thank you. So that's what we did to get the word out, right? Now, after doing all this, Facebook ads, spamming people on forums and all that kind of stuff, after 3 months, instead of reaching that 1,500 number that we had, we got 2,500 downloads. So I was like, oh, okay, this thing actually works. So I kind of have to quit my job to do it, right? And my boss knew about this the whole time already, right? So I told him, okay, dude, thanks for the Facebook ad credits that he was giving me to run ads, but I have to quit. Then he's like, okay. And that was January 2017 at that time. So I thought, I'll just quit Chinese New Year, come back home, done, right? He's like, how about June? I'm like, June? That's 6 months. I'm like, my contract states 3 months. What are you talking about? He's like, we don't have another backup salesperson or like continuation plan. And we don't have Australia open yet. You gotta go open Australia. I'm like, what, right? So I went to do it, for another 6 months, hire the replacement, get Australia done. And then finally, we came back here and did it full time. Once I came back to Malaysia, finally I quit. 2017, mid-year, we raised a small amount of first round investment as well. We raised $125,000 from friends who believe in us before we even had a lot of users. I told all of them about the idea when I was still in Shanghai and Singapore, and I said like, hey man, I want to do this thing, but I have no money. They're like, sounds like a good idea, I'll give you money when you're ready. I'm like, okay. And then I called them when I quit. I said, I'm ready now. Like, okay, really? Okay, so they gave me $125,000, and then we did. So the first year, in 2016, this is when we started when I was still in a job, and we did like 258 rounds of golf. Rounds is basically the metric that you use to calculate number of rounds of players, right? So an average golf course does about 3,000 rounds a month. Maximum capacity is 6,000 rounds. Nobody really reaches there. But we're just barely scratching out, and I was still begging people to post games. So we did like 250 rounds the first year. Okay, right. Second year, half the year, I quit my job. I came back to pursue it full time, and we did 2,000 rounds. So we grew a little bit. 2018, we grew a little bit more to 5,000 rounds, and this was like a full-time thing. And I think why we grew so much in this year was also because we changed the technology that we use in the product. So some of you guys here are in software development, some of you guys are not, right? Building an app is kind of like building a house, where when we first started and you saw that first version, right, we didn't know what Dimples would be. I mean, today you see Dimples, you know how it works and stuff like that, right? But when we first built it, we didn't know how it was going to be. So we didn't know how to build it, right? We didn't know how many windows we need, how many doors we need. We just let's make it very flexible. We can add more if we wanted to, but it wasn't scalable, right? So that got to a point where we had too many people in the house already, and we couldn't hold it anymore. We couldn't add doors and windows easily, right? So that's where Darlene came to us, and he joined us, a year back, and then he said he just asked me this one very simple question: is Dimples forever? And I said, yeah. Then we'll just take 3 months and rebuild this whole thing and build a brand new house. And that's where now, if you look at the app, I mean, you used the app in 2017, right? It was very different then. You scroll 5 games and it'll get stuck. And then we'll have to wait and load again and then go again. But today, you're there's many, many games, right? And this something so small, which we're all very used to, all your very seamless WhatsApp, Facebook apps, they have thousands of engineers. We have one. So thank you, right? So we rebuilt that whole house, and that's where I think that user experience came in, and that's where we shot up in terms of number of users, because people were finally daring to share this with other friends already because they use the app and they were like, oh, it actually works. So that's where we kind of grew. So yeah, today we have about 25,000 users using this on a regular basis. This is how I think most of you guys have seen this version. So only Fauzan has seen this, and this most of us have seen. But now the app you see today is a lot more slick. So yeah, that's how. So this is basically this year. So just to give you guys a quick update, right? This is this year's number of rounds, and we track this on a monthly basis because that's our North Star metric. COVID hit, so it's like, oh shit. We were supposed to be hitting big growth this year, but it just all went down. Boom, no COVID, right? And then once golf courses came about and we started breaking records month after month, last month in July. So after doing Dimples, this thing, for about 3 years, right? And the goal now, the goal then and the goal now is very different. The goal then, if you guys remember the Uber, the WeWork, the Facebook days, right? My idea in my ideal world was to scale as much as we could globally first without monetizing, right? So all we wanted to do is just to help people find people, right? But I knew the monetization plan was always the tea time bookings. I always knew that. But it's when do we unleash this? It's kind of how Facebook didn't want to do monetization until much later on. If they did much earlier on, they probably wouldn't have been as big as what they are today, right? But those days are kind of gone. You've seen all this valuation drop, those people that go IPO and everything and they drop, right? Because you need to be more sustainable before we do that. So what we decided to do now was to focus on monetization, which was payments. So we brought forward that monetization model, the payments thing, that what you guys did today, right? That was always in the plan, but it was never in the plan so early on. We were always thinking we're going to raise funds, and continue doing it all the way, until much later on. But I think it made sense to kind of bring this forward to prove to investors that this business model kind of works and we can maybe scale this part, right? So the idea wasn't to just say, hey, all these people are creating games at your golf course, so just give us a commission. No, because we can't track that. So what we did was to make it through payments. So today, you guys made payments, right? Every time that you guys make payments through the app to a golf course, that's where we just take a 10% cut. And the sell to this is basically And how we position it to the golf course, it's not so much like, hey man, give me a commission because I'm bringing these people to you. It's not that, right? It's, hey man, Saturday, you're creating all these games for Dimples. Good, yeah? Yeah, like, oh, a lot of people coming. I'm like, great. How many of them have paid? They're like, no, nobody has paid yet. Like, what if it rains? Oh, they don't come. If they don't come, then you don't get paid. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's a lot of risk, right? They're like, yeah, why are you taking this risk? Right? So, like, why don't you take money from them up front? They're like, well, we don't know how to, blah, 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 right? So I was like, okay, why don't we build that for you so you can accept money from them up front? And that way, it's kind of like, if the airline industry is doing it and the movies industries are doing it, then why are you guys not doing it, right? And they didn't have the know-how, so that's where we kind of helped them. So we launched the payments. We launched payments end of last year to just 1 or 2 golf courses just to test it out first, right? And then we had a few tweaks here and there, but finally now we launched it in about 10 golf courses. So now you can play at these 10 golf courses paying up front. So we thought golfers wouldn't like this because now golfers have to part with their money first, and then it's non-refundable and all that kind of stuff, right? Hopefully in the future we'll make it refundable and all, right? But I asked golfers here and there, I was like, hey, what do you think about this? Do you feel okay paying up front? Like, yeah, I'm fine. And I like it too, because now if I don't show up, I don't feel bad. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that, right? But golfers are welcoming it. Golf courses like it because the money gets paid up front first. So that's what they like about it. And now I think we have Sri Selangor, Danau, Montrez, Kinrara, Bukit Berentong, these few clubs on board. So why some golf courses are adopting this, why some golf courses are not adopting it, right? Golf courses that adopt it is because they kind of like that they don't have to rely so much on their staff, right? Now your golf course from becoming 12 hours open, now is 24 hours open. Previously you could only call 12 hours a day. Now you can just book 24 hours a day. It doesn't really matter, right? Now if the front desk lady goes to the toilet, you can still pay, no problem. You know, booking is no issue anymore. And they get money up front, so revenue is secured. If rain or whatever, like last minute cancellation, there's no issue at all, yeah? So this is payments, and we are really right here at the very initial stage of payments because we only got 10 golf courses on board, and that's it, right? But once we're done with this fundraising activity, we will try to get a lot more courses. I think we want to get at least half the golf courses in Malaysia to get this. To say 100% is a little bit, you know, impossible, right? But we'll try to get half of them, 50 of them across Malaysia to be on payments, so that, you know, so that we can all just like play anytime and don't have to worry about it. Okay. Now, so this is up to today, right? This is where we are today. What we're going to do next and what this fundraising is for is because we realize that this is still how we are perceived by the golf courses, like what Johan said, as an agent. We don't want to be seen as an agent. We are basically a technology enabler, right? Right now, the golf course has to allocate slots to Dimples, and that means if slots fill up here, then there's no more here. If there's too much here, then there's too little here, but there's still this communication that has to be done manually, human being to human being, with us and the club, so that they know what's happening, right? And why is this happening? Because these two systems cannot talk to each other. This is Dimples, this is the club. It will be ideal situation if this inventory system in the club can be connected to Dimples or to any other platform, or even to the golf course website, right? And this is like what we call the T sheet, right? We've already seen this happen. It's not like something brand new or anything. We see it happening in movies. You can just buy movie tickets easily. You can buy airlines ticket easily, right? But why can't we buy golf stuff easily? It's just because that technology is not there. So we see this as the next step to alleviate the golf course issues even more, so that everybody, you can just go to danaogolf.com and just look at whatever's available. You don't have to call the club and just pay for it. And it's done. They don't need the booking team. You don't need to be frustrated. You can't call them, because we've all called golf courses, right? And we know the pain, right? You pick up the phone, You can only call them 12 hours a day, and that's it. If they pick up, great. If they don't pick up, too bad. If they do pick up, they say, sorry, let me transfer you to the golf department. But I thought I just called the golf course. Why are you still transferring me to the golf department, right? So these are all call up, they don't speak English, Malay, Korean, Japanese, whatever language you want to speak, right? So this kind of just omits all these kind of stuff as well. So that's what we want to do to build this T-sheet thing, which looks something like this, where now we have all the golfers, they're using Dimples, right? But this thing is not connected to their inventory. So instead of trying to link it, and we would love to link it, but they can't be linked, is because, and I'll just give you a bit of information, right? There's a few companies that do this in Malaysia, right? But they are very legacy systems. So instead of trying to change that legacy stuff, we thought we'd just build it for them. And then if golf courses can see the benefit of doing this, that way that doesn't only just link to the Dimples app, it can also link to the golf course website. It's the same thing, right? Or an API to other platforms. Maybe it could be like to AGSSG, to AGN, to any other golf agents, to Golf Savers, TripAdvisor, Agoda, Booking.com, wherever, right? And of course, this can also be accessed by the lady at the front desk if people decide to call. Of course, if people decide to call, then the golf courses have to charge them higher. Just like how if you buy stocks by calling a remiser, you pay more, right? So I think this is just the way forward. And we are daring to invest into this because before we did this, we spoke to a few golf courses just to make sure if they would take this on, right? Otherwise, it would be very scary for us to do it. So we spoke to a few, and they all said, I'll be like, well, this costs a lot of money. Is it good? They're like, yeah. Do you have the money? They're like, no. If we build it, would you use it? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, if you don't have the money, we'll build it for you, and then everything that goes through it, we'll take 10%. They're like, yeah, we can do that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense for us, and that makes sense for them. They have no initial cash outlay, but we will work in hand with them in terms of the fees. Okay, but I think what you guys want to do, what you guys want to know today is we can see what's happening now, we can see what's happening in the next few years, but what really is the end goal or the future of Dimples, right? And we didn't build it just for this short period of time and then let's go sell it, right? I think there's a lot more things that can be done with it, and a lot of companies do it from different angles, right? I mean, we've seen Golf Now, Tea Time Bookings is purely bookings. We've seen Golf Reserve in Malaysia. You guys have used it before, right? But if you just went in the booking angle, you might not have made it because just the booking angle doesn't make sense. If you're doing hole 19, 18 birdies, GPS scoring, that works as well. But it doesn't solve I can't use it if I can't find people to play. So we're just solving the underlying problem first, which is matching. And then Tea Time Bookings, which is what we're doing, right? But once we've done all this, then there's so many more things that we can do. If all the golfers are on one platform, we can leverage them for other things, right? And Marketplace, Advertising, Content Academy. Why Marketplace? If you guys remember mygolf.com.my, which is the forum, and you saw this was like maybe a year or 2 years ago, right? It's hard to see. But the two sections that are the most used are finding people, golf buddies, and the other section that's most used is to buy and to sell, right? So golfers like to buy and trade equipment, right? But right now, we have no platform to do it. Where do we go? Carousel, Mudah, right? But Carousel, Mudah is for everything, right? Imagine there can be a Carousel and Mudah just within Dimples and everybody can just transact. That way, golfers can find the equipment much easier, and that's where we can take a cut as well, yeah? But that is also a bit later on. Content is something that we can work on later on as well because these days, you don't have to be on TV anymore because people produce videos online, on YouTube or anything, and this will just generate more. And there's so many types of content to create. I mean, we've seen all these examples, Golf TV, this Main Golf Yuk in Indonesia, but content could be golf course reviews, equipment reviews, it could be etiquette, knowledge, rules, all this kind of stuff that people want to consume, and this will again drive traffic up, right? So once we have traffic up from marketplace, from content, from tea time bookings, that's where advertising comes about. A lot of people have asked us about advertising before in the long run, right? And we always say, well, we don't want to do it now. A lot of people say, you can make some money now. I'm like, yeah, how much money can I make? Few $1,000s, right? It doesn't make sense because the user base is so small now, but it only makes sense when there's already a large user base, and that's where we can leverage it a lot more, right? So it might not, don't think of advertising as just like the app and there's a banner there and you can click on it, right? That's just very bad user experience. But think about it like, say, Mercedes-Benz wants to do something with Dimples across a few countries, right? Instead of just doing something online and they take over our assets, but we can always do stuff on ground as well and larger campaigns. But the advertising part is something that we would probably normally outsource to somebody else just because it's not scalable. And we like scalable businesses. That's why we do matching, we do tea time bookings, we do marketplace. But advertising is never scalable, so we'll outsource that. And that's where it comes from my experience that I know that advertising is never scalable. The reason why we want to do an academy, and it could be an online academy, and the reason why is because today, how many golfers are there in the world? There's 60 million of them in the world, right? That's only 1% of the population, which we're not there yet, but once we get there, how can we double that to 2%, right? And the only way we can do that is to get people into golf, and that's through an academy to make it more accessible, make knowledge of it more accessible as well. And golf course management is something that we were thinking, since we're kind of doing the software for all the golf courses already anyway, once we are done with that, maybe the next step is to partner with golf course management companies and take it even further, and that way we can help the entire process even better in that sense. So this is like a rough idea on the future of Dimples, where it can go about. Now, we haven't talked about geography expansion. Dimples was never made for just Malaysia, right? Malaysia is like a very small part of the golfing world. But if you look at our App Store reviews and our Google Play reviews, you'll see most of them are 5 stars, which is great. Some of them are 4 stars, right? But there are a few 1 stars. And the ones that do 1 stars are the ones like from other countries, because they're like, we can't use it in the US, this sucks, 1 star. I'm like, I didn't say it was meant for the US. It's not available in the US. Read our website, read the App Store description. It's not meant for there, right? But from this, we can see that people want it in their countries. And it's just in time that we kind of get there. And we are working on some. So we are in discussions with a few countries to partner with as well. We're never going to go in ourselves, because if we go in ourselves, it's just going to be too difficult. Just to give you an idea, 60 million golfers, there's 30,000 golf courses in the world. Rough idea how they're divided up. Malaysia is very, very small. Half of the golf courses are in the US. This is about 7% here. Asia is about 20%, including Japan. South Africa is, I think, 2%. Not sure, 4, somewhere around there. Kevin's from South Africa, so I get all his South African knowledge from them. Europe is about 20%. So really, when we want to expand, we might not expand to even the neighboring countries first. And that's why when we're speaking to partners, we're already speaking to partners now in Australia, in Canada, and all these markets. And that's why we are also launching Dimples in Canada in 2022. And this is something that we haven't really announced yet, because we're not finalized with all the investment stuff. But we're 99% there. This is not we take your money and go there, right? No, it's a separate investment that is part of a startup immigration program that these investors said, hey, we want to migrate over there, but we want to invest in a business that goes over there. So they found Dimples and they said, we can bring you over there. So they said, we're going to invest 200,000 Canadian dollars. It's part of and the angel investors group in Canada is also investing into this. So the good thing is Dimples Malaysia, the company that you guys will be investing in, will be also owning 50% of the Canadian operation. And the other 50% will be by different investors over there. Yeah. So we'll only do this when there's separate investments that come in for a specific market. This is a bit like 18 months down the road. but it's in the works. And this is the one last thing that I think I would want to do before we are done with Dimples. So you guys have flown into KLIA before, right? When you fly into KLIA, and when I fly back from the US and I come back here, I'm like, this is a shitty country. When I fly back from China, I came here like, oh, this is actually a pretty nice country, right? Very beautiful, wow, right? So the last 10 minutes before you land, you're pretty close to the ground. And you see a lot of like green land, just so much unused land, but very beautiful, so much natural resources. And you just keep thinking like, man, why can't there just be golf courses around here that you can just play, right? I mean, Indonesia does it. They have good golf tourism. Thailand has good golf tourism. There's a lot of caddies there. That's why we like to go, right? But in Malaysia, there isn't. But I'm just saying, why can't Malaysia do it? And you're asking me like, why Nilai, right? It's far away from everything. I know, that's why it's good, right? I mean, Genting is far away from everything. Las Vegas is far away from everything, right? Why can't... So then you think, right? Netflix now produces some of the best shows because they have done distribution for the last 20 years. And that's why they have so much data on like what people like to watch, what people don't like to watch, and they build shows that fit them. I'm not saying now, but I'm saying 10, 15 years down the road. If Dimples grows to a level where we have all the data of like what type of holes people like to play, what type of golf courses like to play, maybe instead of golf designers doing it, maybe we could build our own golf course. This is just my crazy dream, sorry. I just wanted to share. If we have Dimples golf courses, then we can retire. Done. I can die then. No problem. So that is the dream. But some of you guys have also asked, is the future of Dimples other sports and other applications? And a lot of you have asked us this, and we say no. And the reason why is because we have seen a lot of other sports apps around as well that try to do everything, but most of the time you don't see them succeed in all sports. You see them succeed in just one sport as well. There's a few in Malaysia, a few in the region, a few in the world. Why we are specifically sticking to golf, instead of going wide to different sports, we'll go deep into golf and do all the things that we said we're going to do because we're still leveraging on the same audience and help them through. Yeah. And that's basically almost done. So I think in closing, what we want to do is focus on really the immediate things that we can do now. So those are just where we can go to, but right away, once we're done fundraising, we'll go all out in terms of acquiring more golf courses, because golfers, I think there's a lot of golfers using the app already. Getting more golf courses on board will be helping more users come on board, so that's what we'll be focusing on. Once the tee sheet is done, we'll get even more golf courses on board. Just to get done with Malaysia first before you even think about doing anything outside, right? And I think as a closing, I want to share a few stories that have kind of motivated us to continue pushing on all the way until today, right? And you guys probably have seen these golfers on Dimples before if you guys were using the app. Like Afkari, and this was when I was still in Singapore, right? And I saw this guy using the app quite a bit in Malaysia. And I came back and I was very fortunate to get a game with him. I just joined a game and he was coming in. I was like, okay, finally I get to meet the guy that I see on the app all the time. He's like a celebrity, right? I'm like, oh, I don't know, right? So I went to play with him and I realized like, oh man, he seemed like he's always playing, but he wasn't very friendly. So he was very like shy or quiet or just not talking, or sometimes he would just ignore me, right? But towards the end, then I got his number and then we started talking and he was typing a lot more. Then I asked him, is everything okay? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, sorry if I ignored you because I have a hearing difficulty. And then I remember, oh yeah, I did see something in his ear. I didn't think it was a hearing aid, right? He has rubella virus from birth, and which makes him not being able to speak or hear very much. So I asked him, like, and he's like saying, hey, thanks so much for building Dimples because before this, I couldn't call the club to book because I couldn't. And I couldn't find friends as well. But now with this, he could. And this was like, wow, I didn't think you could help, somebody like that. Yoon, Dr. Yoon, I think you've seen her a lot. And even until today, she's still posting a lot of games in KGPA. She started as a golfer that was very lousy, beginner, right? So as we all know, golf is a very intimidating sport, right? And she has a membership at KGPA, and the club members there weren't very supportive, right? But she was just very thick-skinned and just continued doing it. And the people that she met on Dimples, she was just telling me, were just all very, very supportive because they've all been through the same thing. And from there, now she plays like, I don't know, I mean, if she's not in the hospital, then she's at the golf course, which is really nice to hear. Catherine doesn't live in Malaysia. She lives in France, in Thailand, and different places, but she's Malaysian. So she comes back here once in a while. And previously, last time, when she comes back, she couldn't get any games in because she didn't know anybody here. But today, like now when she does, before she even comes back, she's not bringing her golf bag and like worrying maybe she wouldn't get a game in. She's already planned all her games in. So she'll come back for like a week and she'll have 5 rounds in. And she'll show me, yep, all my games done. Happy times. I met all these people, which is very nice to hear as well. Liang Hua, and I personally, I haven't even met her, but Liang Hua, I've played with her before. So I saw this Singaporean lady post like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games, right? Like every day in Malaysia. But I saw it's a Singaporean number, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I joined her on a Sunday. So I went to play with her, and a few other guys came to play. So I was like, just very curious. I always ask people a lot of questions. I say like, hey, like, you came from Singapore? Like, yeah, I came from Singapore. I'm like, do you know, like, do you come with friends normally? Yeah, I normally come with friends to play. I'm like, where are your friends now? Oh, I don't need my friends anymore. I have Dimples. I'm like, so that was very motivating. Isabel is one of the first golfers that I've met on the app as well. And instead of me just talking, I think maybe I'll just like play this so that we did a small video shoot.
I'm Isabel. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Penang, but I'm staying in Puchong right now. It was like long time ago, like 7 years ago, when we talking about golf with my clients. So quite interesting because I used to be a sport girl in the school. I used to play with my friends, my group of friends. I got to know Dimples from one of my friends, Raymond, because that was during a dinner together. Then after that, he said, oh, do you have a game tomorrow? It's quite late. We couldn't find any golf mates at this late. Then he suddenly suggested, he said, oh, I found out there's a app called Dimples. You can find golfers at any time. We can post a game in the Dimples and see whether we can get anyone else to join. I downloaded the app, then we tried, I think at 10 o'clock at night. But fortunately, there's someone joined. Wow, I said, this is impressive. And we met the next morning with the other golfer. I said, oh, this is interesting. He turns up. We're afraid that he didn't turn up at the last minute. So I said, oh, Dimples is quite interesting. So I started to use Dimples from that day onward.
That's basically it. How to get involved, how to invest in this time, this round. This is the offer. I think you can see it. We went live this afternoon at 3 o'clock. There are some golfers who have already, I think some of you guys have already transferred some funds in already as an investment. So this round, we're pricing it at 90 ringgit per share, and this is like, all this stuff you can see on the pitchIN website. The campaign will run for 15 days. So this is when you can go on pitchin.my, look at Dimples, submit your amounts. They'll send you the trust account details. You can bank the amount in. And then once the campaign is done, they will send you all the paperwork. So pitchIN is basically this investment bank, like a ECF, all this. They are licensed by the Securities Commission. There's about 6 or 7 of these platforms, and we chose pitchIN because they had the most deals around. So yeah, this is the 15-day period that you can make your investment and own a piece of Dimples if you want to, right? And I think last but not least, I think I just want to thank all you guys for coming today, but not just that, and also I want to thank my team here, Darlene here, that has built the app to where it is. We have Nishi is still working now, so she's like coding people and stuff like that, making sure payments are all coming in. But we also want to thank all the previous investors that have come in before, that has gotten us to where we are today. So, and I think last but not least is all golfers, you guys. If you guys didn't use the app from day one until today, then we wouldn't have been where we are today. So thank you all. Thank you.